Welcome into Around the ACHA Men's Division I. I'm Dominic Cotroneo with Allyson Cummings. It's great to have you with us. Now, I'm bundled up in a sweater today because, this cold snap going across the country it's something not to mess with. And, down here in Arizona, 77 degrees is the hottest. That's too cold. This is something that no one's prepared for.
77, I can do. 76, on the other hand, then it gets a little too cold.
I'm already stocking up water bottles, microwavable foods. Point is, this is something not to mess with, but really our thoughts are with everybody across the country dealing with all this snow here in the month of November, but we'll continue to be spoiled out here in Arizona. But a lot to get to today here and Around the ACHA, so let's get started.
And jumping right into it, Stony Brook has been off to a great start this season, currently holding a record of 21-2. They split a series with Arizona State this past weekend with an impressive come-from-behind win on Sunday night. How did they come back, you ask? With this penalty shot goal from Ryan Cotkamp.
Here we go. Ryan Cotkamp scores on the penalty shot, and the Seawolves finally on the board.
That was a big goal there for the Seawolves. That's what they needed. They couldn't go into the end of the period. Down 3-0. Big goal by.
Now, that was arguably the turning point for Stony Brook. Arizona State did not find the back of the net following the goal, and Stony Brook dug themselves out of a 3-goal deficit. With further information on this East Coast powerhouse is Jayson Chesler and Justin Emerson. Guys, what do you think? Did Cotkamp's goal change the pace of the game?
I think it absolutely did. It was 3-0 before Cotkamp's goal, and then it was 3-1. Obvious math there, a little bit of counting going on. But it was a big goal because it got them the goal right before the end of the first period. They went on to score the next 5 goals of the game and beat Arizona State 6-3.
And you talk about momentum in a sport like hockey. There's nothing tangible with momentum. What it serves as, though, it's a mental block. The mentality of getting over that shutout, getting that first goal on the board, that'll lead to goals in the future, and it certainly did for a very successful Stony Brook team. Justin, this team has looked fearsome to start the season.
It really has, and you can't be surprised. This is a team that's been good for a while, that's expected to be good. They were the number 5 team going into the national tournament last year. They've outscored opponents 86-24 this year, and I think we say it just about every time we get on the air on this show, but this team is a legitimate national championship contender.
That's right. And Justin and I, we went through some of the top teams in the ACHA. We found roughly 12 who we consider right now to be legitimate contenders for the national championship. Stony Brook cementing themselves on that list. And of course, they've got the pedigree as well. That matchup against Arizona State, that was a rematch of last year's ACHA tournament semifinals. A game, of course, that Stony Brook lost. You can bet they're looking for some revenge.
Nice little bit of revenge by the Seawolves there on Sunday, picking up the win against the Sun Devils. And I think if it's up to them, they'd like to see Arizona State in the tournament again.
Now, of course, whoever they see in the tournament, this is a team with a bit of a championship pedigree, Justin, that experience from last year, that's going to play a role moving forward down the stretch this season.
I think it's going to. They know what it takes to win. They came so close, and they're going to want to get back.
So there you got it. Plenty of teams have offense, defense, goalie play, but experience that could lead the way for Stony Brook.
Thanks, guys. Now, let's go to Adrian College, who have enjoyed a fantastic start to their season. They currently sit at 15-1 on the season. The loss in regulation was to Oakland and their overtime loss to Michigan Dearborn. But still, they are looking to return to the national tournament for the 5th consecutive year, this time with new head coach Rob Hodnicki. The new Bulldogs have a weapon on their forecheck, and that's Brad Coburn, a freshman from Ontario who's small in stature, I'll join the club with that, but big in production. Coburn leads the ACHA in goals scored and is second in overall points behind a fellow newcomer, Luke Hannon of Liberty. More on him later. In fact, 9 of those goals have come on the power play, which also leads the ACHA. As long as Adrian continues her dominance in the Great Lakes Collegiate Hockey League with the likes of Western Michigan and Michigan Dearborn, be sure to look out for them come tournament time again.
Ohio has been on the rise under the leadership of head coach Sean Hogan, and that was definitely displayed in their victory against Delaware last Friday. The score, 11-0. Patrick Spalossi and Logan Pfeffer tacked on 2 goals during the night. No one got a hat trick, but 28 points were handed out to the Bobcats hockey team. Their winning momentum did continue on Saturday when they defeated Adrian College 5-1. This weekend, the Bobcats will be facing Lindenwood in a 2-game series that I have definitely highlighted on my calendar.
Now let's talk about UCO. How about them Broncos? They are the only remaining undefeated team in the ACHA after a sweep over the Beavers from Minot State. How do you stay undefeated in the ACHA? It's a tough task, but let's keep things simple. Score more goals than the other team, and they are doing just that. No one has scored as many goals as UCO this season, with a whopping 107 in their 16 games. They are averaging well over 6 goals per game, and that's pretty useful, as well as having a top 10 point scorer on the year with Gavin Hull and a goalie performance from Brenton Patchett that has been stellar thus far. UCO shows no signs of slowing down lately, and they really do have the opportunity to do something special this season, and we'll just debate that topic later on in the show.
Depth is a wonderful thing for a team to have, and Arizona State has just that. At the start of the year, they had 9 worthy guys battling for a spot on the blue line, and I took a look at one who made a transition to forward, Jared Levas. There is nothing more valuable in hockey than a player that can adapt to any situation, and for Arizona State, that player is Jared Levas.
Levas brings his all every game. He's a guy that he's going hard everywhere he goes. Whatever position you put him at, he's going to go and do his job and do the best he can.
With the depth on the blue line, Levas made the transition to forward, and he rotates between the two positions as needed.
It's been pretty easy since growing up. I played forward for probably 10 years, so it was kind of new switching to defense, but getting back to it, just getting a few games under my belt, it's going to make it a lot easier.
This is not the first time this Arizona native has played forward. In fact, he has only been a defenseman for the past 2 years.
I was playing on a team that was hurting for guys on defense, so I just was more of the skilled guy on the team, so I decided to help the team out and go back, and Powers came out to one of our games and it just kind of worked out.
In the long run, Levas believes that playing both positions has made him a more well-rounded player.
Well, it depends. I mean, you want someone who can score, but you also want a forward who's going back for the defense and helping out. And I think that's what some of the guys see me in me, because I play defense, so I kind of understand when the forwards aren't really helping out, so I try and be more defensive too, as well as forward.
He's been actually doing really good. Took him a little bit of practice to kind of get up to speed and get his conditioning, because it's different from defense, but he's done a great job, and he's been one of our more productive guys.
Levas has also played forward on previous teams with teammates Jordan Young and Ed McGovern.
Oh, they like it. A lot of guys think I look good up there. It's a little different seeing me up front, but it's been good.
Jared Levas is without question a versatile player, which is a good quality to have, being able to adapt to any situation. That being said, one thing that has adapted this week is the rankings. We are now going to send it over to Troy Lynch with this week's mix-ups.
Thanks, Allie. Unfortunately, the rankings are still adapting, but I'm here to give you the information that you need to know on what the rankings could be. So I'm going to tell you the top 6 teams right now. Number 6, Stony Brook. Number 5, Oklahoma. Number 4, Adrian. Number 3, Lindenwood. Lindenwood, they were ranked a lot lower in the beginning of the season, but definitely making their roar more apparent as they are number 3 right now. Number 2 is Arizona State, but expect them to shift around a little bit after splitting a 2-game series with number 6, Stony Brook. They won the first game 4-0, then lost the second game 6-3, so expect them to move around a little bit. And number 1 is still Central Oklahoma. They are still undefeated, and the Broncos are leading the charge for the national tournament. And also another key thing to look at, look for number 12 Minot State to jump back into the top 10 as they swept number 9 Iowa State last weekend. That's what you need to know about the rankings. That's all you have of me. Back to you, Dom, at the desk.
Thanks, Troy. Now to the 4th-ranked Lindenwood Lions, who have enjoyed very quiet success since their tough start to the year. That start, 0-4-1 in the opening, and the Lions have rattled off an 8-game winning streak. The victory ceased after losing to Oklahoma last week, even though they leapfrogged Adrian to the number 3 ranking despite their 5 total losses. During the run in the win column, their defense shined, only allowing about 1 goal per game. Next, they faced the Ohio Bobcats on the road, and Lindenwood really has a chance to make up for themselves after that slow start out of the gates. They've made it through turns 1 and 2, and they're on their way to the straightaway with Ohio, UCO, and Iowa State remaining in the 2014 schedule before the holiday break. We'll see how the Lions can make us forgive those first few weeks, so now let's send it over to Jason and Justin for more.
That's right, Dominic. You know, this Lindenwood team ranked in the double digits to start the season, the preseason rankings, of course. Maybe not expected to be on this meteoric rise they're currently on. And hey, you rattled off the end of 2014 schedule for these guys. They'll have a chance to keep on rising.
It's been a rough season, but they've been able to turn it around. You look at what they did. They lost their first 5 games of the season. Horrible, horrible start for the Lions. Not what they were looking for. Then they went on to win their next 8. You look at the graphic right there. First 14 games, all of them were against teams that are currently in the top 13, and they don't play an unranked team for the rest of the season. This is an excellent Lindenwood team who I think that the 8 games in a row is more like the team that we can expect going forward than the team that lost its first 5.
And of course, the matchups, they keep on coming for Lindenwood. You mentioned it. No currently unranked opponents, even in the future for Lindenwood. Not a cupcake to be found on this schedule. Part of that is, of course, the difficulty of the Central States College Hockey League. Justin, this is one of the top leagues in the entire ACHA.
It's got Robert Morris in it. It's got Ohio. It's got Iowa State. And it's got Lindenwood. This is one of the top conferences in the entire nation. And the fact that Lindenwood, right now, the highest ranking out of all of them, that says something about the turnaround that the Lions have had.
And of course, the Lions doing things a little differently than a lot of teams we talk about on this show. Not a whole lot of star power to be found this season from Lindenwood. We spoke to their coach earlier this week, and Coach Zumbo told us this isn't a team full of star power. This is a team, they're doing it by committee.
They're kind of doing it the right way, how you expect to do it. I excuse the cliche. They're playing the game the right way. They're doing it with special teams. They're scoring on the power play, 21 power play goals. They're not allowing shorthanded goals, so this team is just kind of doing it, and they're just trucking along, like you said, without a real star on the team.
And trucking along, in fact, with one of the toughest schedules in the country, Lindenwood making a splash already this season. They'll have a chance to follow through and try to make things happen in Cleveland.
Thanks, guys. Senior captain Nick Winkler for Robert Morris, Illinois, has definitely been a committed athlete to the team for 4 years, and I was able to schedule a Skype interview with him on Wednesday to put a face to this leader.
You're coming from Tinley Park, Illinois. You're a local kid. Why Robert Morris over other colleges like in Illinois?
Well, I met with Chico, and when I saw the locker room, it really sparked my interest. And obviously, with the money I got off of school, stay at home, that was one of the big reasons. So it was definitely worth it.
Yes, and you're definitely the team leader this year. The team lost its leadership last year. How would you say that impacted the team, if at all?
Not too greatly, because like I said, there's 14 new faces, so they don't really know what the identity was last year, so it was my job to establish the new identity, and that was pretty easy.
And when I talked to Coach Adradas last month, he describes you as being hardworking, reliable. How would you respond to that?
I would agree. I take pride in, especially the words he just said, being one of the hardest workers on the ice at practice and in games, and being reliable in all 3 zones of the ice, and obviously off the ice by making it.
And would you say that helps you be a team leader?
Definitely. It gives you the confidence to know everybody trusts you, and your coach trusts you.
And looking at your stats, you're definitely heavy in assists. Right now you currently have 10 assists. Last season you had 44 points, 28 of those assists. Do you consider yourself a playmaker?
Yes, but I would like to obviously change that goal category right now. 2 goals isn't enough for me.
Okay. And then this weekend you have a 3-game series. How do you approach such a busy weekend?
Definitely keep the focus up in practices and stick to the game plan for each team, each game.
And you're playing Oakland, RMU Pennsylvania, and the Indiana Institute of Technology. How do you prepare or plan to prepare for those different teams?
Like I said, Coach will have a game plan for each team. Make sure we just execute and stay focused to that game plan each game.
And then talk a little bit about the rivalry between RMU Illinois and RMU Pennsylvania.
It just seems to me it's just a little bit of a respect thing or a bragging right. It's not as big of a rivalry, but it is nice to beat them and to hopefully do it again this year.
Right. And going into this series, who as the leader has really impressed you on your team?
Currently Burbank, because he seems to be taking over the offensive load right now, and he's been producing, and he's had some great strides.
Okay. And then going forward, where do you see your team being at the end of the season?
Hopefully another rematch with you guys.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Derek.
hopefully another rematch with us. You know, I'm going to take his word on this. What do you think?
It would be a lot of fun. I don't want to get ahead of everything right now. There's a lot of season left to be played, but whew, that would be really, really fun again.
Absolutely.
All right, so now let's move over to the Sooners, who we mentioned earlier when they ended Lindenwood's winning streak. Just as their in-state rival Central Oklahoma did to start the year, OU absolutely obliterated the Texas A&M Aggies, a D2 squad nonetheless, 18 and 19 to nothing, both games. That's just unbelievable. It's one of the few breaks they get to partake in because of their tough Western Collegiate Hockey League, which also includes UCO, Arizona and Arizona State, Colorado and Colorado State. Let's take a deeper look now into the WCHL, which shows a tough conference from top to bottom. Don't let the Buffaloes fool you, though, in the basement. That one overtime loss came at Arizona State in a 2-1 goalie battle. You have three powerhouses at the top that can go toe-to-toe with any other league leader while bludgeoning their own league records against each other.
Thanks, Allie. Guess who, America? It's your two favorite blonde people. I'm sorry, Allie. But he's Kyle Kercheval, and I'm Troy Lynch, and we're talking about Illinois hockey. The Illini are now 10-5 on the season, just recently getting swept by Iowa State, but they are still ranked in the top 25. Kyle, who might be your kind of standout player, maybe the player to look out for the rest of the season?
Well, first of all, Troy, I don't think I'm really blonde, but we'll go with it.
Well, we will.
First of all, you have to take into consideration the surplus of youth on this Illini team, but junior John Olin, has been huge for this team offensively. He's got 16 points, 9 goals, 7 assists. He's really been the anchor for that team offensively, who's really struggled in that part of the game. On the other side, in between the pipes, is his brother Joe, having a solid year as well. He's got a 7-2 record, a 92% save percentage, so he's also having a pretty nice season as well. However, 3 of the Illini's top 5 scorers are underclassmen, so it's pretty interesting to see Olin is a junior, one of the only upperclassmen in that top 5 for scoring. Just goes to show kind of why they've struggled offensively this year.
Yeah, and their record again is 10-5, and Kyle, they have 314 total penalty minutes on the team, which is a lot, all right?
Yeah,
so they're spending a lot of time in the penalty box instead of on the ice. Do you think that has something to do with why the record is what it is right now?
Well, obviously, penalties will hurt any team. It doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're at the D1, D2, D3 level, high school, it makes no difference. Penalties will really hurt a team. However, with Illini, their specific situation, those top 3 scorers are also their top 3 penalty minutes leaders. So, with that being said, when you don't have your top 3 scorers out on the ice, it's hard to score goals. So it's really that simple.
Yeah, and you said, they're kind of struggle to score goals. They have a total of 133 points on the season as a team. Do you maybe think that's because they're kind of young and inexperienced?
I think so. I think there's a combination between inconsistency and inexperience. This team absolutely has the ability to score goals. In fact, when they win games, they average 4.6 goals a game. When they lose, they only average 1.5. So clearly, they have the ability to put the puck in the back of the net. They have a 7-0 win this year. I mean, they can absolutely do that. The issue is, like you said, their youth. And that's not really an issue, as it is just something you have to develop and work through. Mike Fabrini, the head coach there, is in his 2nd year. So he's also doing some learning, too, along with the team. So with the freshmen he's got a nice little recruiting class that he's put together, and I think this team has got a really bright future.
Well, make sure to put on your sunglasses, because Illinois' future is bright. He's Kyle Kercheval. I'm Troy Lynch. Back to you, Dome.
All right, thanks, guys. The Liberty Flames are a puzzling team thus far this year. They've blown leads, lost in overtime, lost 4 in a row earlier in the season. But since that low point, the Flames have won 6 of their last 8 games, including wins over Delaware and Davenport. This weekend, they will face Stony Brook, and they'll need to clean up one of their main weaknesses before taking the tough Seawolves: defense at the crease. Now let's go ahead and break things down for you in a new video segment here on Around the ACHA. We look here earlier in the year against the University of Arizona. Working around here on the crease, coming in, Alex O'D comes in, scores. Big goal for Arizona at the point of the game. Now let's break things down. Comes behind the crease and around to the corner on the side. OD has it there. He's getting ready to crash in, but he's behind the crease, which makes his angle difficult. The guy who has to make a play is Stephen Ballou in front of the net. but he doesn't. He lets him get around him and gives an easy access inside of the near post, and you're always going to put it away when you're that close. I don't care how good the goalie is. That's just easy pickings for an elite college player. Now more recently, against Delaware, just an odd angle shot and they let it go through. How did that happen? It's Michael Conti here for Delaware. Look at all the space he has. If you give that much space, you're really going to have a chance to send something on net. Good things happen when you shoot shots on net. Delaware gets that goal, and now we go to another one here against the same Blue Hens in the same game as well. This time, the goal scorer is going to be Vincent Zingarelli, and this one is just simply great positioning by the Blue Hens, but also poor defense by the Flames. Let's look at it again here. The guy over there, Lindsay LeBlanc, trailing right behind right in front of the goalie. He's got to block the goal scorer Zingarelli to make sure that he doesn't get ahead of him. But instead, look, Zingarelli just cuts right in front of him, gets the perfect pass. That was from Leo Skian. They score, no problem. It's got to be the crease defense that cleans up for Liberty. They've allowed a lot of guys to crash in on the net. And simple goals like that, you cannot afford to give up in the ACHA.
Rhode Island just got done with a 2-game series against Naval Academy where they dropped the first game in shootout fashion. Not only did the game go to overtime, but things got chippy, ending the night with a total of 31 penalty minutes. They did come back strong for round 2, winning 2-0, and are looking to dominate this weekend against Westchester.
Now let's talk about a school we haven't really mentioned on the show before. Let's see if you can figure out who it is with some hints. Their current enrollment, it hovers around 25,000 students. Their colors are brown and gold, with notable alumni including Tim Allen, Terry Crews, and NBCSN hockey analyst Keith Jones, and a handful of NHL players as well. Now we get ready to send it back to Jason and Justin to talk about, any final guesses? The Western Michigan Stallions. All right, guys, take it away.
You're very right, Dom. Not a team we typically look at. We focus a lot at the very top teams of the ACHA national rankings. Western Michigan, a team that hasn't gotten quite as much love from the computers this year, hovering towards the bottom portion of that rankings, but a real legitimate top 25 team as well.
It's a top 25 team for sure. That is Western Michigan that we're talking about. And when we look at our top 12 teams, I don't think Western Michigan made that top 12, but this is still a team that we need to talk about. Mike Moroso, you look at the numbers that he's putting in, so when you're putting pucks in the net like he is, you're going to win some games. They've won 11 games. You look at that 11-4-3 record. 2 of those were shootout loss, and it's kind of a coin flip when you get to the shootout. It's whoever's got the hot hand. Brandon Haas is playing well in net. I mean, this is a pretty good team.
And you look at Brandon Haas, things have not always been easy for him in net. He's facing on average about 37 shots per game. To put that in perspective, no other goalie in the ACHA who's allowing 3.5 or fewer goals per game has faced that many shots per game. Unable to follow? That's okay. He's doing very well at a very high volume.
37 shots is a lot for a goalie to face on a nightly basis. So for the team to have the kind of record that they have, for him to have the kind of numbers that he has, is very, very impressive. And what I see is actually, I see that as a positive for Western Michigan. Because what it says is if the defenseman in front of him can get the puck out of the zone, you keep the puck in the attacking zone, and a couple of those losses are going to turn into wins, and this team might just keep climbing.
Keep climbing indeed. They'll have a chance to do that. We look mid-January. I think any fans of the Great Lakes Collegiate Hockey League know that league runs through Adrian this year.
January 16th and 17th, Western Michigan has a home-and-home against the Adrian Bulldogs. And if Western Michigan can win those games or even split, they're going to get a lot of love from the computers, and they're going to fight their way, and they're going to keep fighting, and they're hoping to find a spot in the national tournament.
Exactly. A team not quite dominating the rankings quite like some on this show, but hey, they'll have their chance to make a rise as well.
Thanks, guys. Now, we talk a lot on this show about game recaps and previews, but sometimes it's the little details that can make an interesting story. And there's more to the Colorado Buffs hockey team than just on the ice. Starting their second year playing Men's Division I in the ACHA, Colorado is full of young talent.
I'd say we're all young. There's not many upperclassmen, maybe a couple, and everybody's still full of piss and vinegar. They want to go hard, and they want to win for each other, so it's a good atmosphere in the locker room.
Coach Knightenbach talks from experience because he played Division II for Colorado. In fact, this team is a family affair. Get this,
Jeff Knightenbach is the head coach of Colorado and is the oldest out of 4 brothers. Andrew Knightenbach, who is the second brother, is the assistant coach, followed by Luke Knightenbach, a 200-pound defenseman currently on Colorado. But what about the 4th brother? He is currently committed to play for the Buffs next season.
My second youngest brother, Andy, the other coach, we get along pretty well, and the 3rd brother is a defenseman. He doesn't always see the same eye to eye that we see.
In fact, his youngest brother is really good friends with their leading point scorer, Jake Bauer.
He grew up with my little brother, so I've known him for a long time, and you know, he's a really good hockey player. He can find the back of the net for sure. And he played on our summer hockey team, and he was I'd say he's mostly a playmaker, but he's scored quite a few goals this year for us.
My biggest takeaway from that whole package was how confusing that would have to be. Luke Knightenbach, Jeff Knightenbach, Andrew Knightenbach. I would get them all mixed up.
I only have sisters, so I've never had brothers. Hockey in the house was never really a thing in my household.
See, that's a little bit easier, but definitely cool. Family affair.
Not easier.
Not easier. All right, well, we'll take your word for it on that. But we are adding something new to the show this week called Take It or Leave It with their very own Zuriel Loving. She will be asking Dom and I 3 questions, and we are either going to take it or leave it. Pretty simple, but let's get started. What do you have for us?
University of Central Oklahoma is the only undefeated team left in the men's ACHA Division I. UCO Broncos going undefeated. Take it or leave it?
Definitely going to have to leave that one. You know, this is a really competitive league. A lot of really talented teams, and it's really hard to go undefeated the entire time. UCO almost lost to Missouri, who is ranked as a Division II team. Also, they have Lindenwood to face still. Lindenwood, definitely a powerhouse. My bold prediction, mark my words, their first loss of the season will be to the Lindenwood Lions.
Okay, I'm marking that down because you said mark my words.
Got it.
Okay. I also am going to leave it because going undefeated in the ACHA is such a difficult task. It's not something that you're going to see every season. It's just plain and simple. You look at what ASU did last year. Kind of got in their heads, and they end up losing it on their home ice to Oklahoma, and then also losing to their arch rival, Arizona. And quite frankly, I'm not going to say it's Lindenwood that's going to snap it. I think it's going to be the Sun Devils when they actually take their trip out here because they play each other in WCHL. They have to come out to Arizona just as Arizona State did to go to Oklahoma. So Oceanside's a tough place to play out here, and I'm really looking forward to that series.
Do you want me to write that down?
I'm not saying mark my words. I'm not quite as confident, but I'm also, you know, I'm taking things simple. I'm just leaving it, okay? I'm not going beyond that.
All right. Luke Hannon has been explosive for Liberty this year. He's been competing with Brad Coburn to be the points leader in the ACHA. So, Luke Hannon, will he be Rookie of the Year? Take it or leave it?
I am going to take that. You know what? When you earn a letter as a freshman, that is just unbelievable and unheard of. His leadership has done wonders for the team. He already has 40 points on the season. That is currently leading the ACHA. So that's a pretty big deal. He also had 59 points in the OJHL in his past. This guy's the real deal. I'm taking that.
Look, I love that he has 40 points. I love that he's the leading scorer. I love that he has an A on his chest. It is simply too early to make a call like that because, right, like you said, Koprick is right behind him. It's just 3 points difference. You can't say that it's going to be that way the rest of the year. And we're only, what, 16, 17 games in for the whole season? I think it's still too early to call. These guys are definitely the front runners. It's just, I think it's too early to call for Hannon. He is the leader, but he's still got some guys and a lot of time to go. I wouldn't hope for the worst or anything for either of these guys. Things can happen. Like we saw ASU is getting depleted with injuries right now. Injuries happen in hockey, and that's something you just have to be prepared for.
That is true. Then looking forward to Minot State. Minot State has struggled on the road a little bit. They head to Tempe this weekend to face off against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Now, will Minot State gain a road win? Take it or leave it?
You know, Arizona State is not necessarily known for losing. They just got done losing to Stony Brook by a score of 6-3. They're pretty fired up. Therefore, I have to leave this one. Minot will not win this weekend. The Sun Devils have been practicing very hard in practice. I think it'll be a tough battle. I think it'll be close, but I don't think the Sun Devils are going to drop 2 more.
I also am going to leave it, but I'm not going to leave it because there's a pitchfork over my shoulder. It's pretty much ASU is a team that went into Minot State earlier this year and really sat down the critics in saying that this is going to be a trap game for them, that this could be a loss for them. Last year we saw the changing of the guard when ASU took over that #1 ranking for Minot State in this very series, this November series in Tempe. So I'm also leaving it. It's just a really tall task for a Minot State team that's really been depleted this year due to graduation and guys. So leaving it there. We only disagreed on one thing, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. We're kind of on the same page here.
You guys are on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
I see it.
We do this too much. That's probably why.
Yeah, probably. I'm writing it all down. I'm serious.
I marked that down with Lindenwood. So
I hope you did.
It did. All right.
Well, just like that, that will mark the end of the show. For all of our staff, Dominic Cotroneo, Zuriel Loving, Jayson, and Justin, we thank you for watching Busy Weekend of Hockey. We don't want to hold you up. This has been Around the ACHA Men's Division I, brought to you by the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Have a good night.